Northerners from all walks of life disapproved of Southerners for all kinds of reasons. But preachers who ventured down south found the devil practically everywhere they looked, from the bustling streets of the port cities to the sleepiest backcountry backwaters. During his early 20s, Henry Benjamin Whipple, who later became Minnesota's first Episcopal bishop, kept a diary of his southern travels of 1843 and 1844. When he got to New Orleans, he wrote that, "This city has so few places of worship and has a vast population. I do not believe 1/20th part of the population attends statedly a place of worship. To show my friends how the day is kept, I will note down a few of the violations of the Sabbath and the scenes enacted today. First, 3 companies of military were out parading the streets and destroying the solemnity of the day by their music and show. Second, horse race of 7 horses, and this attracted many. Third, a duel with small swords between a Mr. Richardson and a Dubise. Fourth, a match fist fight for a $300 bet between 2 boxers. Fifth, a cockfight opposite the St. Louis. Sixth, masquerade ball at the Orleans Ballroom. Seventh, 2 theaters open. Eighth, French opera with ballet dancers. Ninth, 2 circuses. 10th, exhibition of waxworks, etc. 11th, German magician. 12th, organ grinders playing in the corners of the streets. 13th, stores, grog shops open. 14th, 10-pence alleys, billiard rooms, and other gambling amusements. 15th, several parties of pleasure to the Lake Carrollton, etc. 16th, Italian fantoccini. 17th, Kentucky minstrels. 18th, ordinary ball. 19th, dinner parties. 20th, rides on horseback and carriages, etc., besides 1 or 2 lectures on subjects of such a nature as would only be made on a weekday at the North. All of these I have seen advertised or seen today, 20 glaring violations of this holy day, and each of which participated in by hundreds and thousands. Oh, what a picture." Another northern traveler and future Episcopal clergyman, Joseph Holt Ingraham, wrote that the lively Orleanese, as he called them, defended such violations by wielding the scriptural weapon, "The Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath," and then making their own inductions, they argued that the Sabbath is, literally, as the term imports, a day of rest and not a day of religious labor. They farther argue that religion was bestowed upon man not to lessen but to augment his happiness, and that it ought therefore to infuse a spirit of cheerfulness and hilarity into the mind, for cheerfulness is the twin sister of religion. Keep watching through the end of the video to see how different this view of the Sabbath was from that of puritanical New England. But Catholic Louisianans weren't the only Southerners deemed morally suspect by outsiders. The pattern had been established during the colonial period. Charles Woodmason, an Anglican itinerant preacher, wrote in his diary of his experiences with the unchurched settlers of the backcountry. Describing one sermon, he noted that he was the first Episcopal minister they had seen since their being in the province. They complained of being eaten up by itinerant teachers, preachers, and impostors from New England and Pennsylvania, Baptists, New Lights, Presbyterians, Independents, and 100 other sects, so that one day you might hear this system of doctrine, the next day another, retrograde to both. Thus, by the variety of tailors who would pretend to know the best fashion in which Christ's coat is to be worn, none will put it on. And among the various plans of religion, they are at loss which to adapt, and consequently are without any religion at all. They came to sermon with itching ears only, not with any disposition of heart or sentiment of mind. Assemble out of curiosity, not devotion, and seem so pleased with their native ignorance as to be offended at any attempts to rouse them out of it. Historian David Hackett Fisher explains why the backcountry, which was largely settled by Scotch-Irish and immigrants from the North British borderlands, was difficult terrain for Anglican clergy. The backcountry was indeed very mixed in its religious denominations, much as the borders of North Britain had been, but most visitors observed that Presbyterians generally predominated by the middle decades of the 18th century. The English also tended to include growing numbers of dissenters of many sects. Even members of the Church of England behaved like dissenters in the backcountry, as they had often done in the north of England. On both sides of the British border, there had been a strong antipathy to state churches, religious taxes, and established clergy. In the backcountry before the end of the 18th century, a familiar form of evangelical religion was the camp meeting. This was an outdoor gathering commonly convened in some sylvan setting where a large number of people worshiped together for several days. Many historians have mistakenly believed that the camp meeting was invented on the American frontier. In fact, it was transplanted to America from the border counties of Britain, where it was well established by the 18th century. Even the Anglican population of that region often met in outdoor field meetings during the 18th century. So also did Scottish Presbyterians, who held frequent holy fairs, which were camp meetings by another name. Historian Clement Eaton wrote that undoubtedly camp meetings and religious excitement were like circuses to the dwellers in monotonous villages and isolated farms of the Old South. And Bertram Wyatt Brown noted that the excitement of revival meetings helped wean converts off the adrenaline rush that got in less spiritual pursuits. Samuel Towns of Abbeville, South Carolina, for instance, reported in 1831 that revival enthusiasm at the Mount Moriah Church just about equaled the jubilance at a racetrack. In fact, since the church was nearby, every racer, groom, and steward has been converted or seriously impressed. It is hardly a wonder that revivals were popular in the South, more so than religious formalism, since revivals offered the converted something of what they were leaving behind. Even though many in the respectable portion of the population frowned upon gaming function, the old ways died hard. Things were very different up north, historian Grady McWhiney wrote. To New Englanders, with their tradition of strict Sabbath observance that featured lengthy services in unheated churches and a long list of forbidden activities, nearly all Southerners seemed to be defilers of the holy day. The Puritan fathers had punished any citizen who fished, hunted, sailed, danced, jumped, rode, except to and from church, or worked on Sunday. And many of these restrictions prevailed until late in the 18th century and in less stringent form much longer. Northerners and Southerners also differed culturally when it came to their ideas of acceptable marriage partners and how they prioritized literacy. I've got videos on each of those topics you should check out. Please share your thoughts in the comments below, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Leave a like on your way out, and I'll see you in the next video.